Hello teacups, what's brewing? I'm back. I know I've missed a few videos. Quite a few things popped off with Chantal this week, but I was just so tired. I didn't have the energy. Her last TMI story caused some waves. I was going to react to it after Mike said, oh, I wish you would. I prefer a woman's perspective on this, which now that I've heard about the video and I've gone through, I'm like, oh yeah, I can see why maybe this was not something, but I didn't want to do it. I was getting ready. I was like, all right, I'll do it. I'm home, I'll do it now. And I was about to turn the camera on. I was already just so exhausted. I was like, I don't want to. I read through a summary and I was like, I don't want to get into this. I don't need this story in my life. So I didn't do it. There were also a few live stream shenanigans that I kind of kept up with what was going on, but didn't react to. She deleted her live stream after she went into, I think it was Yabba's live stream, and then popped off driving home about it. It is what it is. I don't mind her getting dramatic with reaction channels. I think it's entertaining. But I wish if she were going to do it, she'd have the balls to leave it up, because she deleted it right after. And if you're going to say it, and if you believe it, and it truly isn't fair, and you believe everything you're saying, leave it up and own it. And she doesn't do that. She also had some community tabs about Charlie Gold, because she came back to reacting. A few of the bigger reactors came back to her this week. And she gets very, very triggered by a few certain creators, more so than anyone else. And personally, and in that very kind of mom way of just ignore her, I do wish she'd either go full hog and just go at them and keep it up and own it, which would be entertaining, or just ignore it. Because it doesn't matter what she says, it doesn't matter if she's not reasonable, it doesn't matter if she is, it doesn't matter if she presents her well, it doesn't matter if she doesn't present herself well. The whole point, the entertainment for a lot of people is the engagement, and if she really wants to say, I don't want it, I don't want this on my channel, I don't do this, even though she does this a lot, then the only choice is to completely ignore it, not pop off, then delete it and pretend she's ignoring it. But that's where we are with her. Today, we have Eating Like the Titanic. You know I love these Time Warp mukbangs. Generally, I do. Obviously, we've had criticisms throughout them, but it looks like she's doing a fairly good job here. I'm excited to watch it. Not cut through, flipped through. It's not a book, but I flipped through quickly just to get a basic idea. I haven't listened to very much of it. But she seems to have done a decent job, and I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, I'm not in my Titanic outfit today. I wasn't actually sure how she was going to handle that, because yes, it's Edwardian era, but in terms of going out and getting a costume for that, it's kind of difficult to do. And if she's not a fashion historian, I don't expect her to be, but if you say Edwardian dress, unless you kind of look it up, I don't think anything huge comes to mind. She's obviously leaning very heavily on the movie Titanic, which is fine. It's a recognizable thing that a lot of people will think of. So it doesn't matter to me that she's doing that. And I'm looking forward to it. So let's get started.
Hello, Foodie Beauties.
Ahoy. I hate accounts every day.
I want you to draw me like one of your French girls, Sam. Oh, yes.
I still hate her voice, but it was quite funny that as she said that, he laid out. Okay, we've got her version of the menu here. I am going to pull up the copy of the menu I found. Let me just take a look here. It's a picture from the actual Titanic. It's in the Titanic Museum. And as you can see, she has chosen, the things she has chosen on her menu do actually come from that menu, which is pretty cool. One of the things that we've been quite critical on, and she has been improving, is that the food she's choosing doesn't always seem to be typical of the era. And if we look at how her mukbangs have been progressing in this series, she's getting better with that. In the 1950s, she just had a very general idea. In the 1920s, she picked a recipe from the 1920s, but it was an odd juxtaposition with her costume and what she was doing. The 80s, she was goddamn lazy. But technically, some of the things she did was from the 80s. However, the items do come from the menu, which is pretty good. I was wondering, it says here, sauté of chicken, Lyonnaise. I don't speak French, just so we're aware, because I know Mike does like properly speak French, and I'm gonna be judged. But I was wondering, she did a weird thing. She's put it as sauté chicken à la Lyonnaise. And I always took à la to mean of the, and this was a really minor thing. I know I tend to nitpick, but this was a really minor thing that struck me as odd. Why change it from the original menu and add words? Because I feel like that changes very slightly how, I don't know if they're interchangeable in French. Mike, please explain it. But I take chicken as of the place or thing, like chicken à la king. And so wouldn't it be chicken à la Lyon, or poulet à la Lyon, I suppose, as chicken of Lyon, or Lyonnaise chicken, which wouldn't need the à la. It's a really minor nitpicky point. But I saw it and I was like, huh, that was a weird change to make considering you had the words there. But anyway, she's also got chateau potatoes and punch romaine. And we have chocolate eclairs with fresh creams for dessert. I did go into her video to look at her description box, and she doesn't seem to be linking the recipes she's used for this. So I'm gonna link the ones I found below based on what she shows us. I'll go and look up the recipes and see if I can find the one she's using. If I do, I'll link them down below.
Hey guys, hey, how are you? How are you?
Dude, she went for it. I mean, no, she went for that. I'm happy with that. I was about to say something and I was like, no, I'm being unfair. She had shown us the Heart of the Ocean necklace in her community tab. I was expecting it to be bigger. Is that fair to say? I mean, it's very hard to tell. The picture she showed made it look quite chunky, and in the movie, it's quite chunky. But when you have close-ups of pictures online, sometimes it's difficult to get a sense of proportion with it. She's got the red wig. She's got makeup on that's clearly inspired by Kate Winslet's role in Titanic, because I don't think, like, face powder would have been a thing, but I don't think full-out makeup would have been a thing in Edwardian times. We were discussing in the 1920s mukbang that it was really the time when makeup started to become more mainstream, so I don't think it would have been appreciated in the way she's wearing it on ship. But it's okay. Like I said, the point of this is to invoke the idea. And a lot of people, when they think of Titanic, will think of the movie in terms of what people look like in it. She's got some kind of shawl or something on. There was a lot, when I searched Edwardian fashion, there was a fair bit of kind of layers of sort of, not lace, but overlay. So she's got that kind of idea. Clearly they wouldn't have had sequins all over it, but it doesn't matter for her purposes, so it's fine.
Welcome to your first class experience on the Titanic. The year is 1912. I have some expensive champagne that I'm about to crack open.
Tell me down below if that is expensive champagne. I have no idea, but she's getting into the role.
And we're going to have a wonderful meal.
Okay.
So let's crack this baby open.
She's very close to the camera. Is something jacked up with her wig? Is that what's happened here? Like, usually when she cuts off her head like that, it's because she's effed up the powder she puts in her hair or something like that. Before all the trolls down below who like to be like, you wear a wig, how can you, oh, it looks terrible too. I'm like, yeah, well, I get to comment on it because I wear one too, so. But usually when she cuts off, it's because she's trying to hide the hairline for whatever reason.
And follow me to D-Deck.
Whether she's wearing a wig or not.
Does anyone know who this is?
Yeah, I can. That wasn't very clear, so I'm not sure.
Totally do this because I'm first class.
I would say first class people would get someone else to do that. They would have service to do that for them. I don't think you need to do it on camera, but go for it.
And I know how to open champagne.
Okay, but why are you doing it on camera? Honey, this doesn't need to be here. Oh. That's a beautiful look on you. Good job. Oh, her lipstick does not wear well with this expression.
I did it.
Congratulations.
I did it. Okay. So, let's get to.
Okay.
Hey guys, hey, I'm just here in the pre-dinner lounge enjoying a punch romaine.
All right.
As you see me make. Oh.
Did we see her make that? Maybe she might have had some footage in that she maybe didn't add.
That is really good and really refreshing. I'm just waiting for dinner, and I think dinner should be arriving anytime now. Here we have.
Madam.
No?
Thank you, Jeeves.
Pete's being a little more clear on his role in her life.
Yeah,
What is-
okay.
That looks like a lot of
Wow.
chicken.
Look at that.
That looks quite delicious.
Thank you, Jeeves. Thank you.
She's struggling a little bit with her plates there because they are big old plates on her chopping board. I'd appreciate seeing her hairline at this point. She's so close. If she's struggling, she could have moved the camera back a little bit and just gotten rid of the board, because I know she uses that to lift up the food a little. That looks like a lot of chicken, you guys. I know mukbangs are more food. I feel like she could have had just a plate and been a lady, but I mean, it doesn't look terrible. It looks like chicken and potatoes, and yeah, okay, let's see where she goes with this. I wish she had showed us making that.
Yummy.
What was in it?
Thank you very much. Okay.
I'll check back later for the dessert.
Thank you.
I am French now. I was British before, but now I am French.
I hate to break any hearts there, Pete, but you were not British before. Also, why is Pete the way he is? I mean, it's kind of nice that they can joke together, but someone needs to tell him that service of the time, the whole idea in their life was to provide everything that was needed while pretending to be invisible.
Now, this is my costume. I ordered this heart of the ocean thinking it would be bigger.
Oh,
It
okay.
actually is really small.
Yeah.
But anyways,
All right.
that or my
Maybe it's
husband's.
just your tits are too big.
Get out of here. Go to your quarters, servant.
I didn't need that interjection, Pete. Way to lower the tone of our fancy lady party.
How incredibly rude. So, yeah, I think my husband is just, my fiance is just too cheap. And some of you may know a lot about the Titanic. The things that are more commonly known about the Titanic. We know that she sank during her maiden voyage on April 15th, 1912. Over 1,500 people.
I thought it was April 14th. The menu that I looked up for the last meal was 14th, but if it was in the morning, it might have been 15th.
Perished in the sinking of the ship. It was a very, very tragic story. It's been romanticized so many times. James Cameron, and I'm dressed up as a fictional character, Rose Dawson. Yes, because I can't remember her other real last name. It was long.
Oh, I don't remember it either, actually. I feel like it was Rose DeWitt something. Okay, fair enough. I can't remember it either. I'm not going to go on. Something about her wig is bothering me here, you guys. What is she? If you look here, she is way too close. I wish she'd just moved back. If you look here, you can see right here, you can see the black of her own hair. And I think what she's actually done, a really common thing with, especially the cheaper wigs, but with wigs in general, is that they can often be a little bit too long. This is obviously a very long wig when you look at it. And I think what she's done, she wants this sweep here. So what she's actually done, because all the length is in the back, she's taken the wig and she's twisted it. So actually it's not covering her real hair on this side. So she's cut that off to try and hide it, because her hair is black, it can blend a little into the roots. And that's why it's so short up here, because she's twisted it so far to bring it round. And And I think that's what's bothering me, but that's why she's cut it off so long, because actually the edge of her wig here is here to make the effect.
The Titanic hit an iceberg on the way from Southampton to New York City. It had over 2,200 people on board, and
research.
a lot of very, very wealthy people, a lot of very rich people, such as the unsinkable Molly Brown, who was the nouvelle riche, had a lot of nouvelle riche with the...
Again, Mike, don't kill me, but I feel nouveau riche would be how you... my terrible pronunciation of that. I just don't understand, because she claims to, at the very least, have a good understanding of French, and that her French is rusty but existent. Now, how much French she knows changes day to day, hour to hour, in terms of what she admits to, because she has admitted she got fired for not having French, among other things. But I feel like she should know some of the basic French phrases that have reached their way into English, particularly as kind of French Canadian as she is.
You know, Industrial Revolution brought about a lot of money and wealth during the Edwardian time, and because of King Edward, and it's just a very opulent, very luxurious time, and so a lot of people were wanting to spend their money, and the Titanic was a way to spend that money, because you could, for thousands of dollars for a first class ticket, you would be living the life of luxury. It was the symbol of luxury at the time. Even those in the second and third classes were living pretty well on that trip. Even if you had a second or third class, you were doing pretty well.
She's actually done, oh, there's another menu here. That's quite blurry, but I'm sure when I Googled the first class menu, this came up. But she's obviously researched this, which is kind of nice, because the assumption that everyone in third class was really poor. No, there were obvious massive differences between the class, but as she says, it was, it didn't mean you had nothing, you know? And Titanic was a very, like, it was one of the newest ships. So I'm glad she's done a little bit more research in this. She seems to have taken some time.
On the Titanic, you know, eating roast beef and boiled vegetables, and just, you know, it was great. It was pretty luxurious for second and third class. So I'm going to be eating, I made a couple dishes from the first class, because what I didn't realize is how kind of complicated it was to make items from the menu.
Yeah.
And this seemed to be the easiest one, because a lot of the dishes were French cuisine inspired.
Yeah, so this is okay. This is another thing that I'm not going to ding her on, because if you look at the menu I showed you, there were something like 10 courses. And part of being in first class was having such an amazing array of food available to you. So when I comment on the food she's made, I have no problem with what she's chosen, and I understand how someone with basic cooking skills in a modern environment has chosen the dishes she chose. She just said she picked the ones easiest to make. What I would have probably liked to see was maybe a couple of the more unusual dishes that were still manageable for a modern person, because the way we eat has changed a lot, and as you say, it was first class Titanic. There were specialists for this, you know? But on the menu there was roasted squab, which I feel like you would have had to look around, but you could have gotten squab. There was also something called Waldorf pudding. And I did a quick search for that, because I was like, I don't know what that is. I've heard of a Waldorf salad, obviously. And the research says it was probably a Starliner special recipe. It was nothing to do with the hotel, but the flavors of it seemed to be inspired by the salad. So it was a sort of vanilla pudding with grapes, apple, and walnut. And that there are recipes, there isn't the exact Titanic recipe, but there are recipes available of people who've kind of figured out what it could have been. So I would have been maybe interested, and I say this because she does seem to be taking feedback in every one of these mukbangs. I would have been interested in seeing some of the things that maybe were still manageable now, but weren't as common. Foods that, because we eat chicken, we might not eat this chicken dish, but we eat chicken, we eat potatoes. I would have loved to see a less common meat and maybe a dessert that was more indicative of the time, because that would be really cool. We still eat eclairs today, and I've got no problem with her choosing it, but it would be great to see something more unusual, if that's fair to say.
By a very famous chef, Auguste Escoffier, and he was he's the one who came up with this whole shaved ice, alcohol over shaved ice, and this is a punch romaine, and it is just absolutely delicious. And it was used as more of a palate cleanser in between courses. I'm having it now. I actually didn't think I could ever make this.
There's the
shaking the egg whites, zesting the fruit, shaving the ice, which you.
I'm glad she's showing us pour again. Like, she didn't show us making it, obviously, but usually when she goes to the trouble of making the food, she does cookbangs. And I do feel like, given that this is a time warp and the dishes aren't always what we use every day, it would be really great when she's gone to the effort of making it. It'd be great to see that in the video.
And just doing your newt in your blender, which I didn't know. These are chateau potatoes, and the idea behind the chateau potatoes, they're usually served with a very popular French dish called the chateaubriand, which is a tenderloin way of cooking tenderloin beef. But these were served on, I cooked dish from the first class menu that I saw from the menu on the last day of the Titanic.
Okay, this is probably, I can't see from her little inset there, but this is probably the same menu as I've taken from the museum.
I think it was, yeah, the 14th. So I'm going to show you how I cook these. I'm going to insert that clip now.
Oh,
so
good.
to start off, you're going to want.
All right, I should have waited. I'm glad she's shown us.
Want to use small potatoes, but the idea with chateau potatoes is to cook these potatoes in lots of butter. So you're going to need the potatoes.
I'm sure that will be delicious.
Half a stick of butter.
Half a stick? How much is that? I feel like, if I'm remembering my conversions, a stick is 113 grams. So it'd be like 50, 60 grams of butter, I guess. That doesn't seem, for that whole load of potatoes, doesn't seem so bad.
Oven is preheated to 400 degrees while I'm sauteing these potatoes in the butter just until they get a little bit browned. Whole cloves of garlic. Now this is optional, but it just kind of gives it a bit more flavor. So
it sounds delicious.
Whole like that.
I mean, that looks delicious.
So as you can see, the idea behind them is to get them nice and brown and buttery.
I was like, what is that? But it's her green screen. Sometimes her green screen flickers out and you get it on a surface it's not intended to be on.
You know, it's the whole idea behind chateau potatoes is cooking them in a rich butter. So everything was very rich in French cuisine and everything was very decadent. So let's try these potatoes.
You see the green screen?
Beauty bite. Oh my god. French are onto something. I know, but
I mean, I bet butter and garlic.
Them in the butter.
Sign me up.
Instead of roasting them like I usually roast them in olive oil, gives it.
I feel like I've maybe said this about her before. If you're going to use olive oil, the health benefits are in the cold pressed olive oil. The moment you heat olive oil up, you change it at the chemical level, and those health benefits are no longer there. So if you want to use olive oil because it's a healthier fat, do not cook it.
Such a different flavor. Oh man, that is really, really good. Try to be a lady, not pig out.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, that makes me happy. Be a lady, Chantal. We are fancy ladies in first class Titanic. Be a lady.
Let's try this. This is
that's so much chicken.
Another French dish called chicken sauté. Chicken sauté à la lyonnaise.
Mike, please help me with the technical aspects of that sentence. I feel like it's wrong, but the last time I spoke French was 20 years ago at school. So what the hell do I know?
À la lyonnaise means with onions in a sauce, mostly a wine sauce.
I was connecting that to the city of Lyon. Okay, I might be wrong.
Tomato onion sauce. As you've seen, I'm gonna insert the clip now of how I actually prepared this dish.
All right.
So you're going to cut up some large chicken breasts into pieces.
Guys, I'm not hating what we've done so far, but before she would do all the cooking and then she would do the content. Now that I know she's showing it throughout, I really don't mind this. I think it's a nice way to do the format.
Pieces, and they need to be boneless and skinless, and you're
So
going
much
to
chicken.
put a generous amount of salt and pepper on them. Then you're going to put them in one egg that I had beaten.
Oh, are they fried?
And you're going to dredge the
It didn't look like it was a fried
some
dish.
chicken breast, I guess, in the egg mixture, and
guess to make it
just
crispy.
mix it around so that it's coating the chicken. So the recipe calls for 1/3 cup of flour with some thyme and salt. I didn't have any thyme at my grocery store, I guess was out. So I put some Old Bay seasoning. Now you can substitute with an herb of your choice. After you've coated the chicken pieces, put them on a plate and let them sit for about 5 minutes while you're heating up some oil in a pan. After you've heated a couple tablespoons of olive oil,
A couple of tablespoons, my ass. That's a shallow fry. That is not sauteing. That is a lot of oil. I mean, it's fine. It's really not a big thing, but I'm sorry, there's no way that's 2 tablespoons.
place the chicken in a saucepan and
Look how
fry
much
them
oil
over
is in
medium heat until they're golden brown on both sides, after which you're going to place them in a 225-degree oven.
Okay, so I guess the coat...
That's the
Oh,
color
that's nice.
you're looking.
I'm guessing the coating is to give it that lovely colour, but that does not look bad at all.
Use the same pan, add a couple more tablespoons of olive oil, 1 large thinly sliced onion, and 2 diced cloves of garlic. Now I'm going to add about 1/3 cup of wine. I'm using my champagne because that's all I had on hand, but you can use any wine of your choice. Alright, now I'm adding about 2 teaspoons of tomato paste. And I'm just going to let that cook for a couple of minutes. And now I'm adding 1.5 cups of chicken stock and a little less than a teaspoon of white sugar. And now I'm just going to stir that around.
When I look at my recipes, I'll try and find this specific one. I did a quick search, but there were multiple recipes for this dish, so.
And I'm just going to let that cook for another few minutes until the chicken is no longer pink on the inside. So
I'm guessing that's why the chicken looked a little bit messy on her plate, because she's probably pulled one open to check the pinkness, which is better than food poisoning, so you do you.
oh yes, and I've coated all the chicken pieces with the thickened sauce and the yummy caramelized onions.
Guys, I
So
would
there
eat
you
this.
have it.
I would
This
eat
is the
it.
chicken a la lyonnaise. Let's try a piece here. Oh wow. Pete's took his upstairs and he liked it, so.
The amount she's got on her plate makes me think Pete's didn't take that much upstairs. But if he liked it, I'm genuinely impressed, because I'm of the opinion that he probably doesn't like very much chicken that's not breaded, fried, and probably shaped like a dinosaur.
Beauty bite.
She likes it.
Man, they were eating good on the Titanic.
Now guys, let's take a minute. Think of every other initial bite and the horrible noises she makes. By being a lady, she's actually just kind of eating like a person here, even if the bites are big. That was perfectly fine. You could watch this and not have a nightmare after. She put it in her mouth and went, oh, that's tasty, I'll eat some more. Okay, thank you. That was wonderful, thank you.
Man, that chicken is tender. Oh, look at how tender it is. And it's breast meat. I have to make this for like company.
When was the last time you had company? In this apartment or the last one, I realise COVID is cutting down on that, but when was the last time you had company in any apartment we have seen? Whoever is a long-term viewer of hers, please put it down below.
I got a whole mixology kit just for this occasion. Cheers. Oh, this.
I appreciate the drink, but again, seems like a waste of money, but she did something with it and it looks nice.
This is good. That is so refreshing.
It looks
The
like a
fresh
muffin.
orange juice, the fresh lemon juice, the zest, the champagne, the rum. Oh, the egg white, I don't even taste it. It just kind of made it a bit frothy. Almost like a meringue. You could actually, where you make a meringue with the egg white and top it, and you're supposed to have like a decorative orange peel. I don't know how to do that.
You just take alright. You just take a peeler. They have the ability to do that. I have seen this recipe. I will link it down below. I will say I was reading through, hang on the website that it says here, it wasn't served as a cocktail on the Titanic. So what it was they did alcoholic shaved ices. Apparently the chef she mentioned was sort of a champion of this, and in the article it's saying how the cocktail they've made is actually what the magazine has done to update the recipe. Because they do say it's updated here as a drinkable citrusy cocktail poured over an iceberg of crushed ice, which, awkward. So it wasn't intended to be a drink on the Titanic. It was meant to be a shaved ice dish that was a palate cleanser. So I don't have a massive problem with her using it as a drink. She's obviously taken the recipe and she's researched it, but this isn't how it would have been on the Titanic. It would have been a dish on the menu rather than a drink accompanying it.
I tried.
You did
Never
try.
worked out. I don't have the appropriate tool, I guess.
Oh, she's talking about the zest.
So if you were lucky enough to be in first class, you had, of course, on the Titanic, the creme de la creme of fine dining. You still ate well in second and third, like I said, but it was more basic. This first class was so luxurious. You had cigar rooms, you had different restaurants on different decks, and dining would take hours sometimes, and there was like 11 courses in first class. All they would do is eat and drink. So a sample menu here would be, they would start with like hors d'oeuvres, oysters. Fresh oysters were very popular. Caviar, canapes, shrimp canapé with like shrimp butter on a cracker. Then you would have roasted potatoes, jacket potatoes. Foie gras was very popular.
I find it quite funny how when she's trying to recount any of her story times, when she's trying to recount any of her Mystery Mondays or any other information, she's very slow. She needs a lot of gaps between either making it up or remembering it. But the food here, she can list that menu and she's not having a problem.
Like filet mignon, foie gras, filet mignon de lit, this chicken was on there, these potatoes. Desserts were different fruits, fresh fruits and cheeses, and chocolate eclairs with cream inside. And I did visit a French bakery, so that's gonna come next.
I am actually a little surprised, if I will say, I think she's done a good job here. But I'm a little surprised given that she's had meals on camera before that have been 3 courses, even as a modern day eater. I'm surprised she didn't try and make more courses out of this, so it was in and out a little bit more, just to reflect the menu slightly more. Did I expect 10 courses? No, I did not. But at least 3, I would think, because she does that in a normal meal. And instead she had all this together and then she just had the dessert. It's a minor thing, but it surprises me because it would have been an opportunity to do that. But maybe she already did quite a lot of cooking, so maybe she didn't want to do too many.
Even the champagne I bought, I was gonna get like a bottle of like Spumante Bambino, but I was like, I'm gonna splurge. It was like $50 for that little bottle of champagne, and it actually is like so good.
So she's invested a fair amount of money into this. She got the mixology kit, she got
It's a real treat.
the champagne.
I'm in first class.
Yeah, she's got the actual groceries. Like, it's a lot of
I
money.
love her from third class.
You know, the wig and the necklace are probably not expensive, but still add up.
What would you guys pick? Like, sometimes I'm like, when I watch the movie The Titanic, and she has that husband of hers who's really an ass, but he gives her this huge diamond, and then you have poor old Jack. Would you take good sex over the biggest, most valuable diamond in the world?
I feel like you might have missed the point of both of those relationships. Talk about not focusing on the bigger picture.
I mean, her fiance wasn't bad looking. He had weird eyebrows, but
Again, not the point of the man she would have had to spend her whole life with, but
no one can beat Leo, especially in the 90s.
I'm not gonna lie, you guys. Titanic came out in 1997, which means I was in year 9 of school, I think. It would have been like 9th grade. I was a young to mid teenager, which was the target group for having an enormous crush on him. I very much did.
the crispy bits and the butter flavor. Oh, the wine sauce with the caramelized onions and
Seems like a delicious meal. She's got an enormous portion of it, but seems delicious.
I'm gonna try this.
I may seriously save this recipe, and I may try it.
Chicken and a potato at the same time.
Revolutionary, Chantal.
So delicious. I'm telling you. I think there's more punch. Oh, I didn't spill. Okay.
That was a bit close.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm not a history buff.
That's fair.
I wanted to focus more on the food and just kind of recreate what they ate for a mukbang.
I'm okay with that. Guys, I give her a lot of shit, and as I say, the things I'm discussing here are more wish list preferences than criticisms. I think she's invoked the idea that she wanted to invoke with what she's wearing, and that's as much as she needs to do because her channel is a mukbang channel, not a history channel. And she did some actual research to see what was on the menu and to present this idea. So I'm 100% here for this. Good job. And so far she's tried to eat a little bit more in a ladylike fashion, so it's not been a disgusting mukbang either, which is nice.
I know some people were interested in conspiracy theories around the Titanic.
Oh, I'm not at all.
I'm not really interested in conspiracy theories, honestly, as a whole.
Really? That's actually quite surprising. I would think she loves the supernatural. She loves kind of her mystery Mondays, murder Mondays, whatever. And she likes sort of true crime. I feel like conspiracies, and I might be wrong in this, but I feel like conspiracy theories and enjoying them would lend themselves very naturally to that group of interests. So I'm kind of surprised that in a general sense, she doesn't like them that much. It seems like a pairing to me.
But apparently there was a sister ship to the Titanic called the Olympic. So the photos I show you, there's only one photo that that exists of the actual Titanic dining area.
Huh. Is that true? That's actually quite interesting.
The rest are from the Olympic. However, both ships were pretty much identical.
Oh, that makes sense because they would have built them into the same designs.
Neoclassical. They had pillars. It was just very, very decked out and very fancy. They had like pillars with the head of Neptune.
Oh, that's pretty.
And Ceres, the goddess of agriculture, and Neptune, of course, the god of the sea.
Look at her coming at us with the facts. Nice job.
Cheers. Oh yeah.
I seriously, by the end of this mukbang, please tell me she's just hammered on camera. I would love that. I mean, seriously, let's do that.
That's such a good drink, man. And I'm not like a huge drinker because I generally don't much like alcohol as a whole, but I do like good drinks that are well made.
It does seem good, but like I said, they wouldn't have been served it because if it's a palate cleanser, you don't really want to be eating it with one dish. You want to be eating it between dishes so you can appreciate the next one. But like I say, she's not doing multiple courses here, so it's not that important.
That mixology kit will come in handy for like parties or company.
Again.
Or myself.
Yeah, well, let's be real, yourself. You don't go to parties and you never have company, it's yourself.
For my videos.
That'd be fair. Do more cocktails in your videos. I'm here for that. I wish she'd had this kit when she was doing her 1920s and she'd done, I know she did a gin and tonic, but she could have done a full out cocktail and that would have been wonderful. Not that gin and tonic isn't a cocktail, but you know what I mean. She could have done a fancy cocktail.
I need to do more French cuisine. French onion soup.
That sounds nice.
A lot of the time you would wait in the lounge, pre-dinner lounge, and then they would have what was called a bugler, if I'm saying that right, announce dinner.
Bugler? She had a cut just then, and I feel like she went back to check notes, and I'm not mad at it, because I did make an observation in a comment or something in one of the last one of these. I was like, you know what, she's got the ability to edit. If she's not sure of her information, please pause, go check it and come back. You can cut that out. And I feel like that's what she did right there. And like I say, I'd rather her do that and have a better video as a result. She's running out of things to say though.
I would love to dine like that. Like, just, I haven't been to that fancy of a restaurant where they serve like that many courses.
I think very few people have these days. I think it is very much a more unusual thing to modern society.
I would love to someday. That would be awesome.
I know when you go to very high Michelin stars restaurants, they can have these kind of tasting menus that go on and on, but for you and me, average person, it's more unusual.
Okay. So yeah, there would be, if we were really in first class, there would be so many, so many more courses than just this.
You've made a fair effort with it though. Like, I'm not blaming her for not doing 10 courses. It would be unrealistic.
And I bet you the portions would be rather small.
Yeah.
So that you can eat them all. And then after dinner, the men would have brandy and cigars in another room, the smoke room. Women probably gossiped.
This is the end of her knowledge, but I'm okay with it.
Oh, waiter! Unfinished my meal, and I would like my dessert, please.
I don't like their interactions in this, it's just irritating.
Certainly, madam. I'm back to being British now, if you were wondering.
That's not British. You didn't need to do that.
This comes highly recommended from the chef,
Ooh, those.
which is you.
They look nice. Well, technically she's not the chef of these. I would say maybe take them out of their paper thing, just for presentation purposes, but it was Pete's and I'm not surprised he didn't.
What are they?
Because this is a bit.
What are they?
What are these?
Clearly he had a line he did not say there, but does he need to be reminded? Like, it's an eclair, we have them here everywhere. You know, it's a modern thing as well as an old-timey thing.
Chocolate eclairs.
Chocolate eclairs.
Yeah. You're not as funny as you think you are, guys. You're really
The
not.
waiter was dropping his Kit Kats on the ground. Excuse me.
And there we are. Guys. And there we are. She did so well not being disgusting. We are nearly 25 minutes in. It might be a record for her. But I'm generally not one of these conspiracy theorists like, oh, she gets feeders to pay her to do these things. And I do also realize she's a troll, and the fact that we all don't like the burps is more of a reason to put it in. But she cut to that, and then she went, excuse me, and I checked the camera. Like, I am starting to believe more and more that there is somebody who pays her for that. Because in the last few videos, she's made a point of cutting to a burp. She could just be trolling, but she's made an effort for the rest of this video to not be quite as disgusting as her usual self. And I feel like there is a reason that particular moment was left in.
Well done, madam.
She also has a very juvenile sense of humor, and so does Pete's. So it may also be that she just thinks that was genuinely funny, which I do not agree with.
It was Jack.
Jolly good.
It was Jack.
Jolly good show, madam.
Get out of here, Jeeves. So, like I said, I got these from a French bakery. Oh,
Those
that
eclairs
bakery
look
was
freaking
beautiful.
amazing.
And this is a...
Put that in my face immediately. I want one of those eclairs.
My shawl. This is a chocolate eclair with cream filling. Like real cream, like good cream. Okay. Beauty bite.
I don't know why this,
Don't
the
worry.
way she's eating this bothers me more, but it bothers me more. But I'm
You know,
sure the
low in
eclair
calorie.
were not being consumed by
How
her
else
is
do you think I
amazing.
wear my corset?
Goodness. Clean your mouth. I know we had the moment with the burp, but you're still a lady. You're still pretending to be a lady.
This punch romaine. Got me
Just get
feeling
wrecked.
frisky.
Get wrecked and be a mess and let me enjoy it.
I cannot bake, so I didn't make these.
That's fair. Again, like, she knows a limitation. She's giving us something she thinks she can give us. And it looks like a delicious eclair. I feel like the Waldorf pudding thing was a pudding. She could have done it and it would have been unusual. I think it was a slightly missed opportunity. But it doesn't mean that this isn't somewhat accurate.
But you know what?
Her jaw is going.
When I watch footage of them exploring the wreck of the Titanic,
When you say footage, do you mean the movie?
it just seems so surreal, does it not? Like, just as all that remains is this ghost of shattered dreams. I mean, they go inside the vessel and there's the remnants of the grand staircase, and you see the china, the fine china, you see the fancy fireplace, you see the fancy paneling on the walls, and just to think that it was such a dream back in the day. I mean, you know, the Titanic carried tons of Irish immigrants, immigrants from Scandinavia, Great Britain, and you know, it's the ship of dreams. People wanted to make it in America, and you know, the Titanic was carrying a lot of these people. That's why they called it the ship of dreams. And those who were newly wealthy or the richest people, you could express that as being in first class, and you know, it's just so tragic. And
it was absolutely a tragedy, especially mainly because it was so avoidable. Like, these things happen, but ships sink, but there was no reason other than aesthetics that there weren't enough lifeboats. That is a tragedy. But I love that as she's saying this, she's like, no, it was tragic, and she doesn't forget about the eclair. She's getting deep on us.
it's really too bad. When I would hear them say things like, the ship is unsinkable, they were pretty cocky, to the point of them not even having, like, only having, 20 lifeboats on board, and not even having enough for all of the, I think the lifeboats could carry up to 1,200 passengers, and there was, like, double that. So that's pretty cocky, you know? And you're just asking for tragedy. You know, Murphy's Law, if something bad can happen, it will, especially if you jinx it like that.
I think obvious mistakes were made, and in hindsight, everything is 2020. Like, of course that had the potential to go wrong. What were we thinking?
And sure enough,
She's taking a hair out of her food.
it did happen.
Is that your entire take on this?
It's just really too bad. And really sad. Just like really messed up. You see like boots underwater. You just picture like how it was in 1912. They didn't have very much time to enjoy the trip. I mean, I think they set sail on April 10th, 1912, and the ship hit the iceberg at 11:40.
I appreciate the research. I do. When you're saying it's too bad, I don't think the major issue with the sinking of the Titanic and the tragic loss of life is the fact that they didn't get to enjoy the facilities for longer than about 4 days. I appreciate that you're trying to process this in a way that is a discussion and acknowledge the tragedy of it, but you might be missing the point. I mean, she might be about to lead this somewhere, but you might be missing the point.
On the 14th. And then everything,
oven.
all of that wealth, all of that fancy decor, the grand staircase, the dining rooms, everything, the fine china, everything was underwater like 2.5 hours later at the bottom of the Atlantic. And it's just crazy when you really think about it, you know?
Yes, the loss of the boots and the things were worse than the loss of life, clearly.
I don't know. It's really tragic. But this was really fun, just even getting to kind of relive how they were eating.
Okay, I'll leave that small portion of the mukbang aside because I don't feel it added to the experience. But yeah, it's been a more or less fun mukbang. I think she's done a really good job
for that time, and that meal was really delicious. Like, I was surprised at how it turned out.
It looked like it would be.
Actually, so, but everything was just cooked so rich, you know, like they had this dish that was like salmon with mousseline sauce, and the mousseline sauce is like this rich hollandaise sauce with heavy cream.
That was her alternative dish.
And you poach the salmon in this really delicious broth, and it's just this like really, really, really decadent French dish. I know I say decadent a lot, but that's like,
yeah, you do,
the best word I can think of to describe French cuisine, especially back then. And it was just a very...
She did say opulent earlier, so credit where it's due.
Very prominent display of your wealth, you know? You can afford to eat these lavish dishes. And okay, well, oh, you know what would be a fun timepiece to do is like Marie Antoinette. Yeah, that would be fun one of these days. I already have my
even I can tell
costume
you
and everything picked out for the next Time Warp video, so...
Oh, I thought she was going to say, you know what would be fun? I'm doing it. And I was like, wait, what? I am here for that. Her in the wig? Oh, guys, tell me she does it. I mean, when she thought of this Titanic one, she was like, oh, that would be fun. She did end up doing it. You guys, I want it. Whatever the next one is, I will cover it, but I want that. I want her in full French, big wig. Let them eat cake. I want it.
Yeah, I'll have to wait and see what it is. Anyways, I'm pretty full actually, so I'm gonna put these in the fridge and I'm gonna finish my champagne. And I'm gonna edit this video for you guys, and I hope you enjoyed. Thank you coming back in time with me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.
Bye. Well, you guys, I genuinely enjoyed that. There were a couple of disgusting moments I could have done without, but in terms of her restraining herself, this really wasn't a bad video. I have seen a lot worse, and I think we've all seen a lot worse recently. But in terms of how her mukbang, her Time Warp series has progressed, she is definitely improving what she brings to the table, both figuratively and literally. She cooked in this, she chose dishes that were actually on the menu. There were a few things I would have liked to see, but they definitely were just personal preferences. And I think she did a fantastic job with this. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to the next Time Warp video. She says, oh, you'll have to wait and see. She's not a woman of mystery. When we had to wait and see for the Titanic, we had her coming up with the thought during her driving live stream, a picture of the necklace, and her singing My Heart Will Go On camera. She's not a woman of mystery. But I am nevertheless looking forward to it, and I will see you when it happens. Bye-bye.